Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. I first of all want to say thank you for those who gave feedback on my last video. It was overwhelmingly constructive and it has pretty much led me to create this other video, which is about damage enhancements and damage mitigation. So thanks again, and I hope you enjoyed the video.
Hospitals shut down. Asthma became lethal. And with no police to protect you, did you own a gun?
Did your neighbor?
Some survived.
There are many damage enhancing stats in the Division 2 if you choose to examine carefully. First, you have damage from your bullets, and also you have bonus damage stats which are inherent to each weapon class, such as the bonus LMG damage to targets out of cover, or in the case of the marksman rifle, a bonus percentage headshot damage, and in the assault rifle class you have the health damage, and the rifle class is now fortified with critical hit damage while the SMGs have critical hit chance. Additionally, there are damage stats which are available based on attributes on your gear and brand set bonuses. Furthermore, you also have damage stats on your weapon mods and damage from your skills, which provide a diverse pool of damage dealing factors to choose from. This is not even adding the brand sets, which are a whole nother discussion for another time. Now, the goal of this video is to provide an overview of where to look for these damage dealing attributes when you receive any loot items and explore how you can make the best choices while making builds for your character. In the Division 2, I think the secret to making good builds is a mixture of careful examination and a vivid imagination based on your knowledge of the game. Just by looking around, measuring stats, and defining how you wish to play will help you build your character to be effective at dealing viable damage for you, your team, or to enhance whichever playstyle you choose, be it DPS, tank, or skill based. On the other side of damage dealing is what we call damage mitigation. As you design your builds, you have to factor in damage which is dealt to you by the enemy. Knowing how to mitigate this incoming damage is critical to being a well-versed Division player. The Division 2 so far, in my opinion, has a balanced enemy health and armor pool scaling when matched against a player damage output. However, one thing is certain, these NPCs deal a lot more damage right from the start of the game and all through your progression. So, in order to make the best out of your character and available resources, you have to consider bolstering your survivability while simultaneously increasing your damage. In real life, we call it attack and defense. With that in mind, let's look at the damage dealing and damage mitigating factors in Tom Clancy's The Division 2. First of all, we'll briefly view weapon damage possibilities. This includes your base weapon damage and weapon bonuses that specifically enhance your overall weapon damage, or what I call raw bullet damage. When you receive a weapon, it's one of those attributes you need to look at first. If you need more of an explanation on bullet damage, please see the link to my video above. This bonus damage is something that is inherent to your weapon class, and it's something that you just have to know because it will come naturally while you're in critical gameplay situations. The knowledge of this allows you to adapt your playstyle and the way you build your character accordingly. So let me quickly explain what I mean by adapting your playstyle to a situation. In this gameplay footage of mine, I knew the NPCs would be spawning from a helicopter. Before I went outside, I immediately swapped to my MG5, not only because I wanted to use a big LMG, but because I know that the LMGs provide an extra percentage damage to targets out of cover. This allowed me to just get to the chopper and take out the NPCs before they went into hiding, which would have in turn led them to flank me and consequently make me spend more time in the mission. That's what I mean by adapting your playstyle based on your knowledge of the game. All the weapon classes have simple bonus damage factors which need no further consideration, except critical hit chance, which is rolled on all SMGs, and critical hit damage, which is rolled on semi-automatic rifles. Both these attributes go hand in hand, and I'll be happy to provide further explanation of these two in a separate video. But for the purpose of this discussion, if you plan on using an SMG, be sure that you have sufficient critical hit damage from various sources to make your critical hits worth it. And if you plan to use a semi-automatic rifle, be sure to check that you have enough critical hit chance to make those critical hit strikes actually worth it. You can see these stats in your agent's character sheet so that you can measure appropriately. Alright, from there, we're moving on to weapon talents. There are weapon talents that grant you damage enhancements to your weapon. Most of these weapon talents grant increased damage in specific scenarios. Examples of these weapon talents are Eyeless, Ignited, and Sadist. These three talents specifically grant 10% increased weapon damage when the enemy is under the blind, burning, and bleed status effect respectively. Now the 10% may change or scale depending on the balance of the game over time, But for now, this is the number that we have based on the beta, which I think is probably going to be the release numbers of the game right now. In other cases, some weapon talents, such as Close and Personal, will grant you a 35% damage increase for 5 seconds when you take out an enemy within 7 meters. Again, another talent like Pummel also provides instant reload of your magazine and 50% weapon damage for 7 seconds when you land 3 consecutive body shots with your weapon. These damage bonuses are very case specific, but you can see how you can leverage them in order to enhance your damage dealing on your character. More damage dealing bonuses include stats that you can receive from your gear and your mods. When you receive a gear mod, it will come with specific attributes. Sometimes these mods, such as a weapon scope, magazine, or underbarrel, will have stats such as a bonus percentage headshot damage, bonus critical hit chance, or bonus critical hit damage. Regarding your gear items, there are attributes that can also contribute to your overall damage dealing as well. One other thing that is quite amazing with the Division 2 are the gear perks, where a piece of gear has a unique talent that's randomly endowed upon it. Some of these talents also provide extra damage buffs to your character in some cases, and sometimes they'll provide an extra direct weapon damage enhancement to your weapon. Examples of these are Hard Hitting, which grants you 15% damage to elites, and Berserk, which grants you an extra 10% weapon damage for every 10% max armor you deplete. Again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are many more damage buff enhancing weapon talents, gear perks, and mod attributes available to every player who wishes to build a damage dealing character. A quick side note, I have to quickly highlight the specialized weapons. Their damage numbers are available for examination, and you can do some fun things with them, like trying to hit an elite NPC directly to measure their HP. I was fortunate to try it with the Demolitionist and Survival specialized weapons, and I'll be sharing my results as soon as I'm able to. Okay, now that we've examined damage dealing factors, let's quickly look at damage mitigation. Damage mitigation are the factors that keep your character alive. In most cases, the first thing we can think of is your armor. As you receive gear in the Division 2, it comes with an armor number. But there are also many perks that improve your default armor, protect you from status effects, and improve your skills, which in the case of Survivability, a healing skill mod being extended by a few seconds can be the difference between surviving through enemy focused fire or getting killed. Some unique talents that do this include a very fun one that I just realized called Stop, Drop, and Roll, which is a weapon talent that removes burn, bleed, and poison status effects once you roll. And so if you're using a weapon that's equipped that has this talent, all you have to do is just dive roll, and it's going to actually remove this effect from your character. A weapon talent, like Preservation on the other hand, repairs 5% armor over 3 seconds each time you take down an enemy, with an improved bonus for headshot kills. So this encourages you to actually take out enemies and, if possible, headshot them, because this will increase your armor as you're going on through the game. We also have a gear perk, which is called Self-Adjusting, which provides you with 20% armor regeneration. And so you see how on your weapons and on your gear, as you can roll damage dealing factors, you're able to also roll damage mitigating factors as well. Now, none of these mitigation factors are available on weapon mods, but your skills are able to grant you damage enhancement and damage mitigation factors as well. A clear example of this is your turret, which is dealing damage for you, and I call turrets free damage. And you also have your repair drone or your repair seeker mine, which replenishes your armor. These are some of the factors that keep you alive and enhance your enjoyment of the Division 2, and it was actually something worth talking about to help new players to look at where to find these talents and how to enjoy the game. Also, players that are coming from the Division 1 will be very surprised, in fact pleased, to see that the developers have actually increased and actually diversified a lot of these weapon talents, gear attributes, and even gear talents in order to maximize our enjoyment, keep us busy, and help us formulate new builds and new styles of play. Before I wrap up this video, I would like to quickly interject something that many new players may be tempted to ignore once they start learning about weapon skills and talents, and that is the temptation to abandon stats like accuracy, optimal range, rate of fire, bullet damage drop-off, and other stats as such. These factors may not directly affect your damage numbers, but they do affect your damage per second, which is what we call DPS in RPGs. And this alone can spoil your fun if you fail to consider, perhaps, accuracy on a marksman rifle and opt for more damage. You're bound to see its effect in combat. So I'll advise you that you beware, because the developers have masterfully made this game one which has a lot of opportunity costs when you're actually selecting what to use to build your character. When you engage in min-maxing your build, you'll be faced with difficult choices, and you will need to engage in trial and error in order to get to a sweet spot where you're enjoying the Division 2 game. This is what's going to make for many, many hours of gameplay. A lot of people may not understand and may think that the Division is isolated just to go into shoot enemies, but in reality, most of the depth of the Division 2 is much more than just running around and shooting enemies. It's actually about developing a build, min-maxing, developing a playstyle, and once that playstyle is perfectly done, moving on to develop another playstyle by farming for equipment, farming for mods, farming for weapons that have all the weapon talents, all the mods, and having all the gear talents and gear perks that you need to fine-tune a new playstyle. So with the diversity of playstyle, even from the open beta, what I'm seeing is at least 15 to 20 different playstyles initially in the first year of the game. Add more specializations, and now you have an ocean full of different choices that individuals can make. So that is a short overview of weapon damage and mitigation factors in Tom Clancy's The Division 2. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate your time and your audience. Please leave comments in the comment section about other damage dealing and damage mitigation factors that you've discovered. And I guess I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.
They unite us.
Remind us that we are one people. They are our shield and our light. But if that light goes out,
who can save us then?